The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Amacha malungi abatukereddeko ku mpewo zaffe za The Alternative Digital amanya Farida bikobero olunaku lwakubiri njagala okubakolisaayo mu instant banaye mukulikireeyo nnyo ddala kati tuyingidde omwezi gwaffe ogwa April ennaku z'omwezi leero 2 omwezi ogwokuna ate omwaka 2024 olabira ddala nga tutambudde 2024 tumutambudde tuvudde mu first quarter katuyingidde the second quarter of the year gwe munanga akyatudde omwaka gutambula obudde butambula n'emyaka gye gy'okukula nga bwe gyeyongera so tubeereko ne byetweyiyiza munnange nga tukula mu buvubuka bwaffe sobola okuba nga tu-impacting obulamu bwaffe n'obwabo abatuliraanye ne communities mwe tuwangaalira osobola okuba nga munnaye we okumaakuma mu bantu awo ne mukolamu bulungi bwansi you are impacting your communities oba your society mw'obeera si kubanga obeera awo useless omuntu ali useless mu community toyina kyoyiya toyina kyokola ki nja okukubiriza nnyo abavubuka twetanire nnyo kola tunoonye ebyokola twetandiikirewo ebyokola oba tugende tusabe emirimu tuleme okubanga tutuula ewaka nga toyina kyokola owooza emirimu gyagaana naye ng'omuzadde yakuweerera ka school fees okuva wali eri mu nursery up to university naye ng'omutuuliridde ewaka awo olinga mugugu tovaawo toyina sente zipangisa you are there omuzadde akyakuteekamu akasente ko nkusaba weebuulirire kale weekake weebuulirire osobole okubaako kowetandikawo weekake genda mu kazigoko oba mitwalo 8 tekaliimu ceiling abazadde obaviire ogenda kubaleetera attitude embi towards education because balaba ne gwe baaweerera talina kyabayamba. So weekake weebuulirire omanye nti munnange awo tebakwetaagawo osobola okubanga ate you embrace responsibilities osobola okubanga kikakatikako okunoonya rent kikakatikako okunoonyeza okulya amasannyalaze n'amazzi osobola okubanga weemanyiza okupeyinga ku responsibilities ezo munnange wonootuukira okubikola nga tebikaluubirira nnyo n'abakyala bwe tuti abaana ab'obuwala twetanire nnyo okukola tuleme kutunuulira nja kufumbirwa omusajja omugagga. What if you be a rich woman omusajja omugagga anaakusanga busanzi ng'obugagga tobufunye by sexually transmitted richness emanyi ogenda ka sexual kano bwe kavaawo nga n'obugagga bugenda. So mukwano genda okole sente zo nti ne bwoba oyawukanye n'omusajja omugagga you are still a rich woman ng'esente zaali za musajja. Very good morning yawokwaniriza Kanso Kato gwe naye mu studios asooka abalamuseeko kuba bwedda ndaba nga supportinga points zange totandikira Kanso Kato nsanyusa okulaba mu studios ndowooza ensonga nnyingi ze tugenda okuba nga twogerako nasooka olamuseeko bali mu kutulaba olunaku lwaleero ano tutandikiraawo mpola mpola.
Neza nnyo Farida and good morning to our viewers. Mwewale okumpa akakisa kano era n'okunkyaza mulundi omulala ku TikTok. Ndi musanyufu nnyo era njagala obbakulisaayo mu long weekend eno gye tubaddemu n'okukeera kuddamu okukola nga Farida bw'akikatiriza ennyo. Nsonga nkulu, nsonga y'amaanyi, mulina okukola ffenna tulina okukola tulabe nti tulina ekyenjawulo kye tuteekawo mu society tubeeramu mu bulamu bw'abantu ab'enjawulo, mu bulamu bwa mikwano gyaffe, bazadde baffe, ffenna tulina okuba nga tulina kye tukola tubeeko ekyenjawulo kye tukola mu ggwanga lino naddala okulikyusa kuliteeka we twagala okuliraba mu biseera eby'omu maaso. Yes, neyanziza nnyo.
Ensi ekutambulira etya gy'obeera eyo?
Mpola mpola tugezaako.
Olowooza abavubuka banno b'owangaaliramu are they living a purposeful life or bali diverted? Olowooza bali batya? To where your general view?
Kati on whether they are living a purposeful life or not, it is subjective to debate and discussions. Buli omu engeri gy'abeeramu mu life ye and the way they handle their life. Some think that they are living it purposefully, but the people out there are viewing it in a different way. Nzo sanga nange byenkola wali babiraba n'agamba oyo ng'amala budde. Kanso ng'amala budde biki byako.
Nakati omwana asimbula okuva ku Monday paka ku Sunday naye are living a purposeful life.
No, auntie, in their perspective they must be thinking that they are living an impactful life, a purposeful life, and a life that is taking them somewhere.
Others are just
then
living.
tubalabira mu life ndala netugamba no, that's a wasteful life that you are living. Naye sometimes we decide to keep quiet because bw'okiremerako ennyo people want to create hatred because you are telling them the truth and they don't want to hear that truth.
Abantu tebaagalira ddala mazima nno kituufu.
Naye kati si kyakusimbula kyokka that's living a wasteful life. No, bintu bingi kubeera ewuwe waka nga weebase olunaku olwamba nga bw'ogambye you are only waiting for a rich man and have that sexually transmitted riches and wealth. You know, that's all living a wasteful life. But nze ndowooza omuntu yenna abeeraawo naffe bwe twabeeranga abato nga tusoma mu primary twalina ebiruubirirwa ogamba bwe nkula njagala kubeera bwenti ne bwenti ne bwenti. So bw'oba wali oyagala kubeera A, then do what makes you reach that level of A.
Yes.
And if you change your mind, also adopt and follow the rest. But at the end of it all, it's all about what you want to be, how you want to live your life, and how best you want to change and impact the society. It will determine on how you will achieve that point. Naye waliwo ababeerawo ye nga
kale alina kyayagala okubeera naye nga
tafaayo tamanyi kyetaaza ki okubeera omuntu bwenti neetaaga kukola ki kutuuka wano neetaaga okukola ki kutuuka wano ate waliwo n'abeerawo n'agamba mukama yamanyi ekinajja kyekyo kasita yeebaka azuuka n'alya end of life nabo bwe bali. And surprisingly, these are young people, our age mates. Now,
should we also blame the government? The government na yet contributing the kubeera bwetutyo?
Yes, government is partly to blame. Kubanga abamu, me I know my friends abamu. I may not mention them here. naye nga tuli mu myaka gye gimu twasoma byemu almost some people were doing better than we are doing naye nga yali waka alaba bwe lukya ku makya ne luziba and that's a life they are living and you ask them when you try to discuss balina ensonga ze bakubuulira of course government butakola mirimu butaba empowering n'abalala abalina emirimu osanga ngo akasente kafuna the end of the month tekalina ne kyekakyusa ne end agamba kati sisobola kukola transport wakiri nsigale waka kubanga osanga ngaafuna emitwalo 4 for example kati emitwalo 4 buli mwaka akozesa transport katugambe wakakaaga alya kyamisana kya 15 because nebifo byebakoleramu byetukoleramu bya bbeeyi naye osanga neranki ey'ettaano kizibu nnyo okitegeera kati at the end of it all bw'otuuka ewaka ofumitirizamu n'ogamba naye nfa kino ensi eno anjira ndindamu. Those are the people that are waiting for the greener pastures. So ensonga ezo ezimu zireetedde abantu okugamba katuviveeko katonda yanamanya ekinavaamu.
But that is also a bad attitude to work. At least genda okola akatono ng'ekinene bwe kijja kwanga otuule waka.
Yeah, those are some of the reasons that some people give why they are not working. Yes. Kanyagamba kambeere waka ndinde Farida bwakubayo kadiiru ampeeyo ekyabiri at least mba nsinzeeko.
Government naye egezezaako okwempawaringa omuvubuka wa Uganda. Guyo batuwadde emyoga, tuyina Youth Livelihood Fund, tuyina Parish Development Model.
Farida okubyogera ojja byogera. Ale ku mpapula kwebiri. In fact n'abakulembeze ab'enjawulo babiteekako essira era babikatiriza nnyo. Naye njagala kubuuza Farida wano ku TikTok waliwo abantu sofa nga 10 plus. Njagala ombuulire nawe, in fact kantandike naawe mbuulira mu famire yammwe eyasengaawo kojjaawo abo abali kumpi nammwe, how many people have benefited from that myoga fund?
Eyasengaawo wange nyinza obutagimanyi oba ba-applyinga
eyammwe eyiyo
wenkolera wano teri ya-applyinga,
ewammwe mu famire yammwe
teri ya-applyinga,
neighbor wammwe ani yafunako? so nti ebintu bino the problem is that they are always brought as campaign slogans, as campaign strategies. Ustegere? Nti bagenda kusuubiza sente 221.
Yes.
For example, PDM, Parish Development Model, balisuubiza 221. Ng'ekisanja kitandika. Tuli mu 224.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, you cannot even mention here 20 people who they are beneficiaries of this program. But in your circles, if you cannot mention 20, Teddy cannot mention 20, Arnold cannot mention 20, Kato here cannot mention 20. This is about 10 people. You get? If all of us cannot mention 20 people, who do you expect that have benefited from that money? Abantu abali katugambe babali enlightened, so they could be easily. They can easily catch up and follow these programs. They have not benefited. So do you expect my grandmother in Tunga to have benefited? They never did charo over the weekend, Easter holidays. But surprisingly, Museru ya fail now, a sale. I haven't identified even one person who has been a beneficiary of this PDM. That's a sale. Next to the municipality.
Did they apply?
Most of them papuranga bazindaga. They have filled everything.
So
SACCOs bazitandika, groups are ready. They submitted very good proposal. But the question is, when will they receive this money? Because the program is to wait and wait for the money. When the money hits the account, then they will be called, and that's the end of the story. Me, I've been able to follow up some of these programs. But there is a famous program here, Youth Livelihood Program.
That one I was also part of the groups that applied.
Those were the beneficiaries of that project. But surprisingly, at the end of it all, the government brings such initiatives. And people are only concentrated on forming those circles, forming those groups, making those project proposals. But expecting money at the end of it all. Emyaka katuli mwena, and people have been consistently doing the same thing, expecting for that money so that they can implement their program, which has not been the end. Nti ababivaako ne basigala ku mbeera zaabwe za bulijjo nga bakola ebyenjawulo like other things apart from waiting for the PDM money have prospered so well. Naye abavubuka ababeeraawo because they follow these politicians who are woodwickers, politicians who are liars, politicians who are just there, and they feel happy to see you very poor and begging for airtime and lunch for 10,000 from them. That's the biggest problem that you're facing. Nti ababavaako ne bakola ebyabwe, they are prospering so well. Naye bali abasigala nga balinze sente za bwereere kuba balowooza za bwereere bakyali awo, they are stuck for 4 years tebalina nako ebyekoledde.
But as a youth, olowooza government eyinza tuyamba etya okulanga esolovinga ebizibu by'abavubuka?
Ebizibu by'abavubuka, in fact tetwetaaga na rocket science to solve the problems of the youth. What do they need?
So what should the government
empower
be
them.
doing?
Mu kifo ky'okubagamba that you are giving them free money, create opportunities for them. For example, skill them.
There is skill in Uganda. You just take your national
But how many
ID.
people are benefiting from that program? You see, the ideas are very good, but talk about the reality.
But that one I have seen people benefit, those ones that I know.
Yeah, but those are very few. From my perspective, there are very few. And very few people know that we have such kind of programs available for them. You understand? Kati bwomala obbaskiringa tobaleetera kubeera mu mbeera ya kugenda ku senior 4 senior 6 university atuule alinde omulimu bamuteeke mu office akole. When you skill them bawe skills ez'enjawulo basobole okubaako bye beekolera. After skilling them nobawa manpower, then empower them to have the capacity to participate and practice what they have learned from the skills. Kati bwemala be practicing, provide for them markets. Provide for them markets. We are in the East African community. You get? Open the borders, reduce the taxes on such kind of products that these youth are making, then they can be able to export and earn a lot of money from that. You get? Tetwetaaga bingi. We all don't need office jobs. Kwera kumacha kusiba tayi kujja ku
office ekutoola.
No. And many people have benefited and worked hard through such kind of skills. Abakola furniture. These people get a lot of money. But the problem they will tell you is that even the little money they are earning from what they are making, URA is waiting for them. I don't know KCCA, I don't know what, a lot of taxes. You get? Emisolo gibeera mingi, rent wa buseere buli kimu, and at the end of it all kiringa kiri kyenkugambye. Omwana abadde akola $2 million katugeze omwezi. Naye agenda omaliriza nga expenditure we wa $1.3 seezako $7,000 waka balina okulya. Most of the people in our age kati be bazadde
for their families.
For their families, osanga nga atoolako asasula fees w'abatoobe, abagulira ebitabo, maama alwadde yamutwala mu ddwaliro. So agenda mumaliriza nga tasigazizaako yadde $1,000. Ate akubuuza kati lwaki mba nkyakola. You get? So those are some of the things that discourage the youth. Ne bamaliriza nga bivuddemu nga bakeerawo kubetinga because they presume that to be cheap money.
We've always been complaining about the education system, but preparing to seek for jobs, but they are doing something with the curriculum. I think we should be giving
I think this
credit.
is the new curriculum.
Yes, the new curriculum is beginning
starting this year.
This year, kati abana bagenda tula senior 4 bagenda kubeera nga bali examined using the new curriculum. Isn't that a credit to the government?
We cannot give it the credit as for now because
we
have not seen the products of the new curriculum and what they can be able to do. Olaba ebintu ebimu tubisekeramu but ezina ensonga ziba nkulu. If we receive the products of this new curriculum ne tubateeka mu market like the daily life gye tubeeramu bulijjo, we see their performance. That's when we can credit or discredit the government for introducing such a curriculum. Last ndowooza mwezi guno nga bafulumya results, nalaba ministry nga complaining that I think it was about 15% that has received the full training for implementing this new curriculum. Naye abaana bali mu kusoma bagenda tula ebibuuzo at the end of the year kati baani ababasomeseza if they are not ready and convinced or how they have not studied the new curriculum, which kind of knowledge are they imparting to our children? You understand?
Yes.
What do we expect if the teacher himself who is going to teach you doesn't know what the curriculum entails? What do you expect from the student? On kusomesa naye tabimanyi, because this is new. Only 15%, and you may find that the 15% falls in city centers and towns.
In the urban schools.
Now, feel sorry for the children in the
Abali
villages.
mu byalo.
Because the teachers themselves don't know what the curriculum is all about. But because they need to be paid at the end of the month, they have to keep going to school and teach whatever they want to teach.
Teach what they know.
Teach what they know, because at the end of it all, they don't know how the curriculum runs, how it must be implemented, how it must be imparted to the children, so that they can be able to be productive and be beneficiaries of the new curriculum. The curriculum might be good, but who is getting what is in the book and imparting it in a student? If you don't know what the curriculum is all about.
Naye wano obunafu bwani, obunafu bwa government, should we blame the teachers because they would refuse? Nagamba tetugenda kubanga tukkiriza new curriculum olw'ensonga we are not skilled enough okulanga tugiteeka mu nkola.
Manyi, I've always told people that we have a government that has a full ministry of planning. Their role is to plan. They wake up every day to these offices, fancy offices with AC. In fact, even on the road as they head to office, they can even knock your small car, push you aside because they are running to plan for this country.
Yes.
But wait for the results that come out of this planning, and you cannot see them. You understand? The other biggest problem that we have is that however much we have these planners, we have the self-seekers in these kind of ministries and government agencies.
Yes.
The self-seekers who are dealers in this instance, I should say, nti tebachiwa budde to lay it on the paper, see how it's going to run, see how it's going to be implemented, see the outcomes, like assess the risks that must be involved and how they can mitigate the risks therein, so that they can bring out to the public something that is fully cooked and fully prepared.
Yes.
Nti oli agenda kulaba diiru agambe what if we introduce a new curriculum, tujja kwetaaga ebitabo kubiprinting. How will print? Farida.
Yeah.
Farida mwala wange somewhere operating a stationary, for example ku NASA, ate ani agenda obitwala transport now gets involved in, and tenje in a transportation company or tender ye
Ajja kuleta kickback.
Chichi ani agenda basomesa bino. Maybe I have relatives, I have colleagues who will also bring in, or I have a friend who has a company that is skillful in that, ajakuleta yoka kickback. And they have not fully prepared this curriculum so that it can be able to be taught to the teachers, so that the teachers are fully fledged with the skills and the knowledge that is in the new curriculum, that the same knowledge will be used to teach the student. But because Kationa Araba, we were at this program to print out the curriculum, the first beneficiaries are his or hers. You get? Nti ajja kugamba kati bwe tukirinda emyaka 5 oba 3 tusooke tusomesa abasomesa kati bwe banzijja mweno ministry ne banteeka munda, who will be a beneficiary of this? Kati kwegamba babeeramu neyo fitina, kange kansooke nkajjemu as we see what happens.
As we see how it
nti bagenda okuleeta program ng'already kyemmanyi ne boobuuza bano aba planners baffe Ministry of Education, ne curriculum bayinza okuba nga tebamanyi bwefaanana. But because they were going to benefit in the near future, as soon as the project is passed and implemented, ebirala tebagala mmanya. And those are the challenges that we face as a country. Nti buli omu alaba nfunamu ntya, and how fast can I benefit? They don't look at the bigger picture at the end of it all. How will it end? What are the outcomes? What are the risks? How can we mitigate these risks? What if this happens? How do we fill it in? Yaraba tuyise program encha basasule ku accounts. Me, I take my kickback, I sit home and wait for them to suffer with the new curriculum. So because I don't think that they have prepared these teachers to attend trainings about the new curriculum, and the teachers have failed.
naye ddi abantu baffe banaabeera empowered enough okugamba nti yes government kyereese kirungi but tebakoze kimala kulaba nga batu preparing to adopt to the new curriculum, let's say nga bweri tugaaneko batandika exercising their powers.
ate kati exercising their powers would not be difficult. You understand? But look at these teachers who are always crying each and every day about their pay salary, how little it is. And the time they come out to air out their grievances, you go into the government every day, but the other time you saw them say, we mbate mwagala kusomesa mugende tugenda teka abajasi. The army men will go and teach. You see, these are teachers that their lives are dependent on the day they go to school to teach.
Yes, that's true.
Understand?
Yeah.
So they feel when they are threatened to that kind of level, they feel they are losing their jobs. And it puts their lives at stake. Because when they cannot go back to school, then they don't have any pay at the end of the month, then their children, their families are all at stake. So wagamba, why? Pastor Sibiafe. And surprisingly, most of these teachers don't teach their children in the same
those
schools.
particular schools, yes.
They don't. Because they know what they offer to the rest of the children, and they are also calculative. They think and study ahead. If I teach my child the same things I teach to these children, will he be of any use in the future?
Maybe because some of them are in what we call a masomero go wansi, and then basobola ku affording akasomero kalungi so you take your kid. So not because what they are teaching is wrong, but because
they look at the standards. They look at the standards because buli muzadde yena jabeera. Most of the parents want to have their kids successful. You get? So fumitiriza munagamba mwana wange bwemuteeka mulina essomero lyensomesaamu ne bye tusomesa ne banange bye basomesa anaavaamu abeeko ekyakola ekyenjawulo bwabibalamu n'agamba ansanga erino agamba waayi wange tajja ssomera wano.
So much your parents should not be hopeful in this new curriculum naye eyinza obutatuwa bibala.
Yes, kati omusomesa yeka bw'aba tagimanyi kati biki byasomesa omwana wo.
So all the curriculum mweno new curriculum it is student centered.
Student centered. I know practicals and the rest. If it's teaching children what
but
to do.
But it has some advantages of abaana bagenda ne bayiga ebyemikono. They have skills nti omwana agenda okuva mu high school nga alina kyamanyi mu mutwe oba amanyi okutonga oba amanyi. I think that is what it is in this.
Doesn't kusoosa okusomesa practicals. Fe wano twasomeranga Farida twakolanga chemistry. You understand? And we used to do a lot of practicals.
A preparation of oxygen.
Twali wano mu COVID. Nga oxygen ebuze mu ggwanga. Naye nga omanyi abasomesa be tulina. I will give an example of my chemistry teacher. I know he had an experience of about 20 years teaching chemistry. The same thing, the same day, the same.
They are not empowered.
Naye namubuuza naye gaga tuli wano tulajjana.
Ate yensonga
nga tetulina oxygen agamba waaye naffe tubasigala bikuba ku chalkboard and explain to you but you have never. Because that's a practical centered.
Chemistry teacher katenga mu COVID talina empowerment yegula equipment zimala kutandika kubeera nga producing oxygen.
Farida government yene ina laboratory ezenjawulo ziri fully equipped and fully.
But you know you cannot just go and enter government facility.
Is laboratories and all those facilities have a budget that they run. You understand?
Yes.
Whatever yabasomesa bameka. In fact, those laboratories and facilities have people that are always stationed there on a daily basis. That's their job.
A government
whatever yabasomesa bameka nga bagamba fe ku bye tuzze tusomesa abaana ne experience gye tulina fe mutulage bye bakozesanga kukola good si mazzi naki mubitulage fe tubakola oxygen gye mwagala. How many did you see? But they were also crying like us.
Because omusomesa akuwa knowledge ogenda okugukeeka scientist. The government is what
Farida nezo practical zogamba. Most of them atule waka nze kati kankubulire kino Farida. Most of these teachers because this is what they do on a daily basis.
Yes.
To get a piece of book obazitanga textbooks bazita textbooks
pamphlets.
Or pamphlets. They read whatever is in the book. That's what they give you.
Never
no drawings. This is no practical zongamba. The way it was drawn in the book, that's how they bring it and put it out to you. Understand?
Because that is the correct way to
That's
to
the kind
draw
of
it.
education system that we are facing as a country. Leave alone ebirina that we have had teachers who make innovations, maybe who go beyond reading in a textbook and giving to you to write notes. Make it more practical, because from kusoma kwaffe twakolanga tugamba agriculture is the backbone of our country and our economy. But how many people kati nawe Farida oli wano, how many people basomanga nabo that are doing that kind of agriculture so that they can support the economy here? Nabazinga tebamanyi nakwata nkumbi kulima, you get even weeding.
Bintu byayononeka.
But those are the practicals that we are talking about that will help this generation when our new curriculum. If they have failed for the so many years that you have been, have they created any differences?
They are trying to create some difference.
Those who have not retired, are they not the same teachers that are teaching these new kids that are in school? Did they do any changes? Some of them are still the same. Some of them are still the same. Did they go through this kind of training so that they can get new skills that they can change from what they taught us to now what they are teaching these new kids? It's all the same. Refresher courses but you saw the ministry bringing out statistics about the percentage that has gone through the trainings to teach the new curriculum, which was very worrying to the country. But I don't know whether other people are just taking it so slight.
But according to the percentage they have, why did they go ahead to gamba nti abana babere examined?
Because waliwo yali achifunamu. That's what I started with. Waliwo yali achifunamu. Nga bino ebirala binaddirira mu abamanyi. Nze kyange njitutte bisigadde mu ababimanyi. Because you will even see the examiners suffer. You understand? Nebana abasettinga nga abagenda banga babisettinga ogenda bala banga tebamanyi na kyakkola.
Marking aids for the teachers to know how they are going to mark the examinations and how to help those.
Now you have received the marking guide. You have received the marking guide, but you don't know the contents that are involved in this new curriculum. Will it save anything? It will not at the end of it all. Nti chibandibadde bakola, and you see they keep on lamenting. Abasomesa tebanafuna skills zimara kuyiga curriculum empya. Kuyiga curriculum empya. Ne bwe bakimanyi that there is that kind of a loophole in the system that they are running. They are not creating solutions. Kati tumaze okutegeera nti only about 15 or less % bebali knowledge in teaching this new curriculum. How do we bring the other 75 or 85% also catch up? Can we use the 15 that is available so that it can transform the same knowledge to the rest of the student, of the teacher?
Yeah.
It can even take about 2 months or 3. So that the whole education system, all the teachers that are interested in teaching the new curriculum are imparted with the knowledge and the skills. Because you cannot give out what you don't have. If you, a teacher, cannot be fully equipped with the knowledge within the new curriculum, which knowledge are you going to impart in the children that you are going to teach? And then all mwena mwenda sigarawo nga mwetunuulira n'omwana n'omusomesa naye omwana atasobola kugamba mu by'omusomesa tobimanyi because naye tabimanyi. Byonna by'onoomuwa byagenda okugenda nabyo at the end of it all.
They know it is the gospel truth.
The end result of that is half-baked kind of students. Those are the results that we shall get. Because gwe yasomesa omwana wange nibiba musomesa nawe wali tokola ki? It means you only brought what you knew and what you are interested in. That's what you taught the children, and you don't know what the examiner is interested in finding in that children.
Nze we twasomeranga nga banoonya examinable topics agamba kino kibasinga okusetinga, so they do not care whether you need other knowledge bye balekayo naye for them they just focus on those examinable topics. Bage batera nnyo settinga Napoleon ne Bismarck, so you make sure you understand those topics because we know at least you have some marks z'okutandikirako. So banaye tuli ku examination our education system and how they are trying to help students okulaba nga coping up n'ensi nga bw'etambula kubanga ensi etambulira ddala ku speed eyo waggulu naye ng'era kansooka tuyetakkiriza nti kale kye bakoze kiyinza okuleeta ebirungi naye nze I am still hopeful tuyinza ofunamu ebibala nti abaana at least bali mu kuyigayo ebirala ebitali bya mu kilaasi ndi away from the classroom they are learning some other skills. I think ebyo bijja bayambako mu bulamu bwa bulijjo nene ku interactinga n'abantu outside your classroom. It is also a skill abaana gye bayinza okwetaaga nga bafulumye school setting ne bagenda mu communities eyo okunoonya emirimu. Tugenda kubanga tuwumulamuko katono nnyo bwe tukomawo tugenda kubanga tuyingira ensonga z'amalya g'ensimbi tuyingira parliament nuupu sobola okubanga ate tuyingirira ddala ne reshuffle in our second hour of the show. Very good morning.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Let's Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Let's Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Let's Up, craft your own footprints.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Tukolekayo mukuwumulamuko tuba tuyingidde ekitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri zibeera ssaawa 3 ez'okumakya. Tugenda kubanga ate ensonga ya education basomesa curriculum tugenda kubanga ate tugiteeka ebbali sobola okuyingira topiki yaffe eya olunaku lwa leero. Tugenda kubanga tuyingirako parliament exhibition abasajja bawadde ssente here and there gwe olowooza omukulu Edgar Matthew Karuhanga bw'abadde wano agambye nti omukyala Betty Kamya akyagumiza bannayuganda nti akyali w'amaanyi ddala mu kulwanyisa obuli bw'enguzi. Ssente z'omuwi w'omusolo tezimala gagenda bwe zityo naye ng'ate bwe yali agezezzaako okuluma President w'ensi Uganda yavaayo abantu bange baleke genda mpola. The good thing is they are investing the money in Uganda so bate batukoseseza nnyo kyamaanyi. Njagala okufuna your take on this whole issue ekibadde kigenda maaso ndowooza it is now a whole month nga tuli ku parliament n'amala g'ensimbi agali mu parliament weewaawo gatutte n'abantu abamu they were murdered politically n'olabanga kituufu image yaabwe egenze naye nga tebakkiriza owning up a mistake is something someone has to do as a leader. Bw'ate basobola ku owning up mistake then you know we are lacking as Ugandans.
Ensonga eyo enkulu naye olw'okuba nti abamu bagadde gizanyiramu and it brings me to this kind of thinking about whether these people that we elect to be members of parliament, whether they are doing their best to do that service that they speak on their rallies that they want to offer to us as the people.
Yes.
Nze naraba before actually this exhibition started. Naraba nga mukulu speaker kenyini nagamba whatever we are offering services, we are offering services to serve the people of Uganda diligently, with respect, with byonna ebigambo n'abimalayo.
Tayewa.
No, speaker
Anita Mo.
Yali akyogera n'agamba, so those who don't think that we are doing our best are haters of this country and they are doing bad. You get?
Yes.
But surprisingly, when the exhibition started, they started to bring about all these kind of unnecessary expenditures, selfish expenditures that are made on themselves.
Yeah.
You understand? Nti n'abamu ne bavayo ne balaga how some people would be in two different places on the same days and they are all earning per diems.
Yeah.
You get? That, as if that was something small. There was a motorcar, yes, speaker and air deputy was that costed about 1.2 billion, and the count was quiet. Leave alone that, as if that was not enough. Buli MP nafuna about 210 million to buy a new car, a new vehicle, because they said they needed those strong vehicles. They did not want the smaller vehicles. Bagala ziri enene nga tezikyawulira binnya nga zisobola batwala comfortably wherever they are going. We kept quiet and said it's okay. Now, what escalated the whole system was the award money that was given to the commissioners of parliament.
Yes.
Surprisingly, the whole country is targeting now only one, Mpuuga, former leader of opposition. We are forgetting the other four that also benefited.
Bafuna 400.
Bafuna 400, but that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And you can imagine that that's the money that we are able to understand as the public. Then kati zirimeka zitawulira. Zitajja mu public. And the challenge came in that it all centered about the National Unity Platform.
Yes.
National Unity Platform castigating its own and forgetting that if corruption is identified anywhere, then it is a national matter. It shouldn't be centered on a political party. If you are alleging that the Honorable Mpuuga was involved in corruption, how did that corruption happen? From the award that was given by the Parliamentary Commission to the rest of the commissioners. Why are you only talking about Mpuuga and ignoring the other four that also benefited from the same?
It is
you
because
understand?
bw'obeera n'abaana nfaku wange gwe wange he will discipline you, abalala nabo balabire ku
kati eky'abaana kyo kyanjawulo kubanga ffe bwe twakuliranga omwana waki wa community wa ggwanga si wooweka. Because you can imagine if you are preaching heaven, then practice heaven.
Yes.
And but you see, ndowooza abamu mu bakulembeze baffe bwe batuuka ewaka beekweka n'abaana baabwe n'abakyala baabwe. They don't want to face them. Because if you had seen what the Honorable Mpuuga as a leader of opposition and how he was castigating corruption in that house, corruption in the country, bad governance and obutali bwerufu everywhere. And what actually came out to be known out of him, these are two conflicting things.
So,
and you cannot understand how it all came in. Kati bamala okumuggyayo for that award, political party negamba waaye ekyokoze kive katukugobe oba weetonde and resign with immediate effect because of your participation in that corruption. You get? Of course wagenda obbiraba nga bivaayo mu bbaluwa Twitter.
So the 500 million, is it an act of corruption? Obviously as legally. People need to understand.
No, it is an act that involves corruption.
Corruption because
you have to look at how was that money awarded. The Parliamentary Commission sat. The Honorable Mpuuga was part of that Parliamentary Commission. It is like me and you sitting here and deciding that buli omu atwale kamera zino zetulaba twale eno nze ntwale eno. You get? We are awarding ourselves. In fact, in short, it is that we sit as the judges, we sit as the jury or the lawyers, we sit as the complainants, and then we decide on what to take home. Because bw'olaba ku mateeka gaffe agatufuga, I will be specific with the Leadership Code Act. Section 8 yeeri eteeka egamba about conflict of interest. How does that conflict of interest arise in the normal circumstances. If you participate in any activity or any event and you are a beneficiary of that event, then it means you have that conflict of interest.
Yes.
When conflict of interest arises, what are you supposed to be doing under Section 9? Declare conflict of interest to the rest of the people so that you can exonerate yourself and the rest can decide on whether to give you that benefit or not to give you. Did any of the two happen? If the exhibitors had not captured that kind of information that the commission sat involving the Honorable Matthias Mpuuga and awarded themselves that money, when would we have known that there was that kind of discussion, that there was that kind of award? You get?
Yeah.
That even having known Mpuuga, munnamateeka, you have money, is a senior politician that has been in that parliament for over 20 years. You get? Yeah. This is somebody that claims to be in opposition, opposing what the government is doing wrong. But what is he doing? Is he doing it in the right way? So, yes, he could have been part of that committee, the commission that sat and said, Uliomaf Nevi Navina, then Gwengarid of opposition of Nevitan. You get? What would he have done actually having awarded themselves that money? Declare that money. You get? Yeah. Declare it and say, in a commission sat, decided this way and I was awarded this money. Make it a declaration so that it is public know. It would have made a difference other than waiting for the exhibitor to first dig for that kind of information. Put it out in the public so that the public can be able to judge you. He failed to declare the self-interest, conflict of interest that was involved, even not declaring the award that was given to him, and waited. Surprisingly, that he continued to say that he will receive that money and he will not be sorry and apologetic for receiving that money, even having understood all the kind of lacunas that were involved in getting that money itself. But what is more interesting in this, that the party itself took steps of having him resign from the position of the commissioner because of his involvement in corruption. We saw a round of letters from A to B, from B to C, everywhere on the factions. They are talking about Mpuuga, how you must resign, how you're corrupt, and the rest. In about, I think, how many months when we have got a new leader of opposition? Yeah. It's so funny. From the same political party. He was among the people that were spearheading the bringing back of the 500 million to the public coffers by Mpuuga. I'm talking about the leader of opposition that we have now. He was spearheading it and he said, we have no tolerance to any corrupt official. Yeah. Whether who or who, if you are corrupt, you are corrupt. Then you must resign and go home and maybe prepare for the rest.
Yes.
Then the exhibitions were not far. They brought him on the same pace. And actually his was even more worse than what Mpuuga did. Because Mpuuga sat with the rest of the people and decided to award themselves. Yeah. But this leader of opposition made a requisition to go to Nairobi, not for very far, for 5 days to visit the Honorable Segiri. He was given that money per diem for 5 days. Shockingly, he was in Nairobi for 1 day. He came back, sat, enjoyed his money. When the exhibitions were at the helm and brought about that kind of information, then we saw him doing what we call damage control. We saw what we call damage control. Damage control. What was he waiting for? In the first instance, why would he request for 5 days when he knew he wasn't
knowing
there
he
for
will
5
be
days?
there for 1 day?
Secondly, he had been there in around February. Why would he wait for the end of March so that he can be able to declare that he was given excess money and then he has refunded that money after the exhibition?
At first he didn't really think it is a matter of the public, so he told the parliament kusala ku musala gwa February ne batazisalako.
But
so
did he inform them by word of mouth? Why didn't he bring a letter and say, you see, before you actually talked about that, This is a letter I wrote to Parliament to have this kind of money deducted on my pay.
I think there was no written document because we haven't seen any.
Secondly, you see, where the double standards come at play is that the same political party, the same people, ignored that issue. You understand? But surprisingly enough, they are all centered on one person, Mpuuga, to the extent that he has been actually fired from being the deputy.
It is because
president of the political party.
Honorable Mpuuga didn't own the mistake. He doesn't agree he made a mistake. As a leader, that communicates something different.
Mpuuga, right honorable, wrote a very big letter that captures a lot of so many things to the political party. Because he was given a notice to show cause why he shouldn't be removed from the office of the commissioner, and he also made his allegations. First of all, what he is asking for is accountability for the 3-point-something billion that NUP as a political party receives from iPod. That question has not been answered. He raises another question that involved sexual molestation in the political party by the top leaders in that political party. I think you saw that. You must have seen that letter somewhere. You understand? All these questions are questions that now bring the attention of us, the public. So that we can be interested in finding out if a deputy president of a political party raises such questions. Instead of answering it, now we are moving at a stepper and a faster speed to remove him from the position of the commissioner, writing to the speaker, even ignoring the laws and the rules, what they say about the same. Yes, that one is actually a very good question that you should ask. It's a very good question that you should ask. But as much as you ask that question, also ask, why are the party leaders not responding to the same questions? Because the two wrongs can never make one right.
It could also be possible.
He delayed to air out such kind of accusations. But now, as he has raised them, why can't you give them
No. Not what we expect him to be doing is Kato Tumusiime. Then akomewo atandika raising questions is. Olaba.
Anti yeye akugamba
mazima. The good thing you are a lawyer. Bwe ompawabira. Nti nakubye ate nange neva nange wanzi baluli lwachi waluli nanize kuvompabi.
There is what you call a counter claim in a suit. Ompabiro kubanga nakoze kino naye nange ngamba yes ya dompabiro kubanga nakoze kino naye nawe wakoze kino. So fena ne tubira ku defensive. Naye wakugamba nawe teka mu defense kubyenkuwabira nange nteka mu defense kubyokola ki. So it's a two-way thing, and that's the reality. That's how it's supposed to be doing. You are arranging me for having involved myself in corruption. That's right. The pressure that you're putting on me is to resign or show cause why I should not resign. Yes. And I am also saying, however much you want me to resign because of my involvement in corruption, but I feel there are also corrupt tendencies in the political party involving how the money that is got from iPod is spent by the political party and its leadership, including the issues that relate to sexual molestation. Because if Kato here came and started making such allegations, then I would be in the wrong because I don't have a lot of information in how the politics of the NUP are run by the leaders at the party headquarters. But this is a deputy president of a political party, one of the people that were involved in the foundation of that political party. He must understand a lot more than what we do as a public.
Yes.
So when these issues are raised by such a person, these are issues that we should not push under the carpet. But what should we do as now the society? You see, when you bring issues of sexual molestation, maybe you bring issues of corruption, in the law we take you as a witness because you have an idea of how all these arose and how they resulted. What should we do? We should involve the police now to call the Honorable Mpuuga, and then he can make a statement and confirm or deny the accusations and allegations he's making against the rest of the leaders. You understand? So that the police can get the first-hand information that can enable it to start investigations in the issues raised by Mpuuga. Has Mpuuga himself, as a lawyer, done due diligence to follow up with the police? So if you are raising issues of sexual molestation, have you reported anyway? If you have not reported, what are you waiting for? It means you are also aiding and abetting the sexual molesters in the political party that you have headed for about 4 years now. You understand? Because I don't think that these allegations he's making started yesterday or started when he was accused of his involvement.
Tugambe nti ali mukubeera ku defensive agamba kale bwe bumba mungoba mu kibiina nange kambala say it is something he's doing.
It can also be true. It can also be true that that's a game he's playing. But before we can reach a conclusion of whether it's true or not true, have we given it some attention to find out beyond the statements the Honorable Mpuuga is making? I told you if, for example, Girwa here came and started saying that, it would be like maybe because of the issues he has with the party, that's why he's raising such. But this is a leader, a deputy president,
a
number
leader who
two.
is also having issues with the party.
But number two in a political party, a party he cannot just let go like any other supporter. If he raises such questions, these are the questions that should trigger us, trigger the law enforcement officers so they can get involved in identifying such kind of problems, how they resulted, who are the perpetrators, and then have them face the law. That would solve the same problem that we are facing. The other issue would be now the involvement of the IGG, the office of the DPP, to now investigate the issues that are related to corruption. Because corruption under the laws is clear. What amounts to corruption, how and when does the office of the DPP or the IGG get involved in tackling the issues that relate to corruption? This matter. But they are all sitting and sleeping. I don't know what they are waiting for. Even having received alarms from so many people, talk about the same. They also watch this news. They also follow whatever is transpiring in this country. Have they taken any other step? They're also sleeping dogs there waiting. You get? Because the first person that would have been interested in this matter would be the office of the IGG. But what is she doing? She's there. At the end of it all, she will come and make herself up, shine, and then she will say that if I fall sick, I'm not like the rest of you, I will have to be thrown the next day and get treatment. That is somebody that we expect to be fighting corruption in this country. And everybody is seated and say the IGG will do what she does. Because what next shall we get from her? The problem is most of these people, I don't know the term I can use to make it clear out to the viewers, but it is that they tend to fear. For example, I will give a clear example and a direct example about the IGG maybe investigating the speaker. You know, the speaker chairs the committee, the vetting committee in parliament. The IGG is voted by that committee. You understand? And you know, when a committee that is doing vetting makes a recommendation that is bad about you, you have lost the job. So do you expect this person who was vetted by this parliament to be the IGG, whose term is about to expire because it was about 4 years? Who is going to face the same vetting committee chaired by the same speaker who she investigated for her involvement in corruption? Do you expect any results? In that, most of these things are taken slightly, but most of us should be knowing the causes and why the speaker, why the IGG cannot get involved in issues of investigating the speaker. You get?
Kubanga asuubira ya kalimo.
Asuubira okukomawo mu maaso g'ono era
ne kanso okusinziira ku gwe olowooza Honorable Mpuuga teyaresignize. Do you think yo okweremeza ku kifo was the right thing to do as a leader?
Kweremeza ku kifo kyakyo bwa commissioner. Era kimanyi bwe bamuggye ku bwa deputy president wamulabye awakana.
Nanti because
But
the president mu kifo kubujjako our president alina powers. Naye wano yeremezawo because amanyi party president we ne bw'anaamugjayo.
You see, Farida, the role of a political party is to only nominate a member to be elected as a commissioner of parliament. Commissioner is not elected by a political party. NUP did not get involved in electing Mpuuga as a commissioner, like the NRM did not. What they do is they nominate. They nominate A, person A should be the commissioner from the opposition. What elects is the whole parliament, the whole house of parliament. The procedures for removing the person from the office of the speaker of the commissioner are very clear. You must move a motion, involve the whole house so that they can vote, give a vote of no confidence against the commissioner and have them removed from the office. You see, like what they did to the Honorable Zaki, however much it was unconstitutional for a number of issues that involved the quorums, that involved so many other issues. But that's what should be done if they feel that the Honorable Mpuuga must be removed from the office.
But do you
of the
think
commissioner.
Honorable Mpuuga is doing meaningful representation?
Now that one should be left to the voters who voted him. And his party may be that he represents.
Because one of the qualities of a good leader is you own a mistake. And we all agree Honorable Mpuuga made a mistake.
But we should also take it that humanity.
So morally, chimuka katika kuganaye olw'ensonga nti nakola kino nzikiriza okuwummula for the mistake I made.
But the issues of morality should not be mixed with the issues of the law. If you arrange him for having involved in corruption, take the necessary steps, have him charged as a corrupt officer. He'll be taken to an anti-corruption court. The trial shall proceed. If he is found guilty, then he will face. But I've told you that nobody has even taken a step, including the office of the IGG. It's just silent. The office of the DPP. So what I would expect us, the citizens, to do is maybe to put pressure on these two offices. How do you do that? You petition the two offices.
Of the IGG,
IGG and the office of the DPP. State your claims and allegations against a certain person, and then we see if they will take any step or not take any step. If they fail, the Constitution gives us another alternative of doing public prosecution.
Olowooza ekibiina kya National Unity Platform kyakwata ensonga eno in the best way they could?
No, obviously no. I would say no. Engeri bakwatamu ensonga zino yali yakyana kito. You see, it's all about, in my own view, it's all about seeking power to show nze asinga mu ggwanga, nze asalawo, buli omu ayagala kulaga nti yasalawo. You understand? Because before the public got to know about this kind of discussions that happened within the NUP, the best way would have been, because I believe any other political party has internal problem solving mechanism. You understand? They would have sat with the Honorable Mpuuga, have the discussions indoor as the political party with the political organs, make decisions, and if they don't agree, still I felt bad to see the whole political party bring their issues now on social media, because the next day we had the letters were exchanged on X, formerly Twitter.
Yes.
Before we know, on the barrio and everywhere, the president would be issuing the same statements, which was very bad. That they only failed to have their issues resolved internally before they could escalate to the public. Because when things escalate from the public, now the public is attacking the accused person, which is very wrong. And when the accused person is now put on his defense by the public, he doesn't know who to respond first, how to respond, because some come abusing, some come disrespecting because of the issues they believe in.
Yes.
But secondly, the issues of the national political party now, like the National Unity Platform, go beyond what we see outside here as the people and the citizens. Because we have seen so many people come to actually ask a lot of questions about that political party, including the constitution that governs that political party. Because I believe under that constitution, the internal dispute resolution mechanism should be clear. That if a member of a political party at this level, this is a deputy president of a political party, is involved in any matter that calls for maybe mediations, that calls for maybe investigations, this is the procedure that would follow. Maybe form a committee of about 5, president, a deputy, mention them, call this person, because the right to fair hearing is non-derogable. You must be heard, given an opportunity to be heard on the issues that they allege against you. Because if people don't give you any attention to hear what caused you do A, then they will not understand why you actually did A. But now when people come to ask for that constitution, it is nowhere to be seen. What is only given is the constitution that was filed, I think, in 2003 or 4, before it was even, the party had changed to the National Unity Platform. Under Chibarama, that's the constitution they are still basing on, which is not clear to most of the people, which cannot be accessed to most of the people. So it leaves a lot of gaps on how the political party handles its internal disputes. And maybe that's the reason why everybody now wants to involve in the public so that they can be able to help them. Because now this is about who owns what in a political party, who has the biggest say in a political party. You understand?
Yeah.
So those are all the problems and challenges that we see, that me personally I see with that political party. How they handled it was so difficult, was so hard for it now to be contained. Because the moment it failed within the party itself, now it's brought to the public. Even before you had tried to use all the other alternatives and mechanisms to have the issue resolved, then you messed up. At the end of it all, we shall see the fights that are going on. And secondly, I feel the dismissal of Honorable Mpuuga from the position of the commissioner, the commissioner was out of anger, was very misguided, and even his appointment, I feel they had no choice but to appoint him. I will give a scenario that where Honorable Zake was sent out of that commission.
Yes.
Honorable Zake went to court. He won at the Constitutional Court and the Attorney General appealed.
Yes.
Imagine when the Supreme Court orders that he was actually wrongfully removed from the office of the commissioner and he must be reinstated. What is the position of now the Honorable Mathias Mpuuga, who is now the commissioner that was nominated by the same political party, that still has a pending case where one of its own members that was nominated and fully elected as a commissioner of parliament is now in court battling the same issues of how he was dismissed from that office. Do you see that was a rush on the side of the NUP to appoint before the determination of the case? Because the case has a most likelihood of success. It can be actually seen. So, even the removal of Honorable Mpuuga and then reappointing Honorable Zake, who had been removed from the same office, you see that this is something that was not guided well.
Kyogamba balilonzeeyo omulala nga si Zake.
Ate balonda waaki? Because
to the party they believe Honorable Mpuuga yakola ensobi ate olw'ensonga nti yagaana okustepping down ne balowooza kati mu replacing.
But I told you the procedure that he would have followed.
So baligenze mu mateeka.
Move parliament, move a motion to parliament, have the commissioner removed from office, like they did to Zake. But this is something that happened when everybody was seeing. I saw the letter written by a Secretary General who is a lawyer.
Yes.
Is quoting a number of sections in the the Administration of Parliament Act and the Rules of Procedure. He cited them very clear, and they tell you how the commissioner is removed from office and on which grounds. But now it beats my understanding. If the same person who had the capacity to know where the law is, I know he read that law, couldn't actually bring it in play and understand that this is what is supposed to be done.
What could be the reason lwaki tebakozesa mateeka matuufu ne basalawo okukozesa engeri endala? Because they know they have lawyers in National Unity Platform. Lwaki olowooza tebatekinga the rightful path?
Of course, kyemanyi nabo bakimanyi. This is not the first time the NUP is making suggestions to have a member of their own removed from committees even. This is not the first time. Honorable Mapinduzi was removed from the park some time back. You saw what the speaker said? You see, presidents, when they continue to happen and nobody is challenging them, then they affect the results of the future.
Yeah.
They affect them. The other one was removed from a committee. The speaker said, no, you must serve your full committee up to the end of your tenure. That's what happened. So what would you expect from the commissioner? Maybe they have that kind of feeling that whatever they are doing, maybe would face the wrath of the speaker, who is also uncontrollable in that house, you know. You saw her the other day talking to an MP like as if she was talking to her young twin son or daughter. Something embarrassing, something disrespectful that she did. I think most of these people want to shy away. And you also saw the leader of opposition say that some of the MPs don't want to side with the sides because they fear. Maybe to face the speaker, maybe they fear what will happen to them.
Agamba bwena supporting kino speaker
anatwala atya, you get. You know, that lady has been uncontrollable in that house. And it's getting out of hand. And nobody wants to question her superiority and her power in that house as a Speaker of Parliament. Leaders sijja kulimba kye kimuwa amaanyi, but power corrupts. And at some point I believe whoever said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely was very right.
Okay, ku power wo wenyini wetulabira ne yakozeseza absolute power.
Anti yabadde talina kyakukola okitegeera, like the president of the National Unity Platform yagezezaako okukola kyonna kyasobola ne bigaana. The only power he had was to remove Mpuuga from the office of the deputy president, which he did, and nobody will question him because he is at the helm of the party.
Kaawe wenyini wetugendera ku president wa Uganda naye yakozesezza amaanyi ge power ye gy'oli mu kwogerako wano n'alonda mutabanyiwe n'abeerako wamuteeka buli omu n'amuwa ekifo kye kusinziira nga bwe yalabye. Olowooza appointment ya Muhoozi as Chief of Defence Forces olowooza n'atuleetera ebibala birungi nnyo nga bwe tuwulira agali mu nkubo mbu there is a bill, a pending bill in Parliament mbu egamba nti president bw'abanga tasiri mu mbeera nnungi obanga tekyasobola kutambuza mirimu gya ggwanga asobola kuwaayo obuyinza oba he can step down akulira omukulu oyo n'atwala eggwanga mu maaso.
Kati appointment ya General Muhoozi nga CDF, this is something that had been prepared for some time. Ndowooza abamu tebaakirabirawo. Ndowooza abamu tebaakirabirawo, but this is something that did not happen just for the sake of it happening. Naraba General Mbaddi ng'agenda for vetting ku Parliament. Kamunyiiva ekifaananyi kyakiraga obusungu ndowooza ng'agamba tulaga wange eggwanga. I felt sorry for him.
So you did the photographic interpretation?
Yeah, the photo, I don't know if you saw it, but it was clear. Him moving out of the car, heading to Parliament, and the gloomy face, and I'm like, but this, you have been appointed a minister. You get? But what am I trying to say? In about, I think, February, yeah,
yes.
If I may be specific, the president called it's called the council, the Army Council and the rest. He had his book of it is called the UPDF establishment, something of 2021.
Yes.
That book or that establishment gave excessive powers to the CDF. Because the CDF is the head of the administration of the UPDF, but we have the president who is the commander-in-chief. But that establishment was giving the power, the CDF power, to make new establishments under the UPDF, like make different, what is the exact word they used? I'm forget. It's getting off my head. But he can make different. You see how we have like the SFC? That's a different part of the army. Then we have Air Force and the rest. Yes. So it was giving up the CDF or the army to make those new kind of groups under the army. You understand? And also dissolve the different groups that are existing under the same army. That was all the power given to the what?
To the CDF.
without even consultation with the president. No, if he wakes up tomorrow and he says the LDU should be part of the army, so it be. So it be. If he says now we have the SFC, but now the CDF also needs his own army.
Yes.
Under the army, he can make that establishment without the consultation of the president.
So the president does not have to come out and oppose.
No. That was that establishment, and those were the powers given to the CDF.
To the CDF.
Calculating the Museveni that I have known for the years that I have lived on this earth.
Yes.
He wouldn't have taken any risk, any chance to give that kind of power with the CDF that was not too close to him and too close to power. Because this is all about fighting for power.
Yes.
We have seen so many UPDF officers fall out with General Museveni because of what they believe in and what he believes in. And we have seen how hard he has hit them to the extent of actually some of them going to exile.
General Mbadi was not too close to power.
No, to General Mbadi, I think, you see the problem with most of the Ugandans and the people is that sometimes when they are brought near the table of big men, of the kings, and they start maybe to pick buno kuva ku meza, they feel that they are also part of the table. Yes. Which is very bad. Some of these people want to be more comfortable and they want to say a lot of words about that. So when that power was given to the CDF, everybody, most of us predicted that the next CDF would be General Muhoozi. So that he can use that power to center himself at the helm of the UPDF, create or whatever he wants to create so that he can be able to prepare himself for the next presidency. Because that's where the target is. That would be one. Two, because in that, I believe that General Muhoozi will use all this power to make promotions of his people, the diehards like we always call them, to make new entrants in the army that would believe in his ideology and have themselves indoctrined to the level that he wants them so that he cannot be challenged anymore in the future. Or else, he can use that power to control the army and overthrow his father from that regime, from the seat of the president. That's also possible. It shouldn't be underlooked. As a CDF, because he will be in control of the army that also controls the SFC, and because it's all under UPDF, he's now at the head. Because he can use that power that was given to him by his father around February, that was given to the CDF to overthrow his father. And it's a coup and it's no more, and he will rule as a president. Secondly, you also have to look at how different CDF have been treated. When he's removed from the office of the CDF, he's appointed a minister or somewhere, and now the country has normalized on it. Nobody has ever come out to challenge that the constitution and the laws that govern the UPDF state that Uganda shall have an army that shall not be partisan. But the moment you are appointed a minister in a government, the moment you are elected in any position of leadership, then you are partisan. Because there is where you have to support and where you have not to support. Most of these people are NRM people. That's a fact. But because we have all ignored that issue, I told you the vetting committee sits and vets a general, a full general, on an office of a minister, and it is normal. He's not the first, he's not the last. We have now normalized it. Because now how many generals do we have in the cabinet? How many do we have in the cabinet and the MMA? And most of these people have actually been CDF.
So it is something that is intentional to militarize a lot of things in Uganda here.
Yes. Now look at this position. I don't know how true it can be, but it's also possible because General Museveni never disappoints.
Yes.
He's now having General Muhoozi center into power at the helm of the UPDF, control the UPDF, indoctrinate it to his best as he believes, because he will give them whatever he wants to do.
Yes.
For the 2 or so years that we are remaining to have an election, imagine an election that has been manned by the CDFs who are not from the first family, the kind of brutality, the kind of force that has been used in those elections to have General Museveni win power again. This is General Muhoozi who wants to get power from his father at the end of his tenure as a president. Now he's at the helm of the UPDF, controlling each and every organ of the security in the army. Imagine, and I want you to predict what will happen in the 2026 election. When the first son is heading the army in an election where his father is contesting and participating and wants to win the next term. You can imagine the kind of brutality, the kind of force, the kind of lethal treatment that will be involved in that election, having the first son as the leader and the commander of the army. Yeah. You understand? When General Muhoozi now succeeds in bringing the win in the 2026 election to his father now has the capacity to sit down and appoint him as the vice president.
Because omukulu President Museveni yakomyawo term limits era mukutunuulira nga bwe bijja kisanze ekijja kyekibeera his last term as president.
He will appoint General Muhoozi as the vice president because now the country and the vetting committees of parliament have made it clear that any person from the army can be appointed in any position in the cabinet. Now we will say that don't appoint your son as a vice president. General Muhoozi as a vice president, Museveni can even rule for 3, 4, 5 months and says, you see, because of my health, because of my age, I can no longer take power as a president under the helm of this country. Who will be the next president?
Of course,
because he took the power as the vice president. Isn't that peaceful transition of power? That's where I'm seeing things. 2 scenarios involved.
So much tulina okusuubira anything wakati wa 2026 ne 2031.
We may even not reach 2026. Anything can happen before 2026 because there is also an incident of having a coup, but which I feel may not happen because the coup may not be successful or the people may react.
But Ugandans have always
but they can wait. They can wait. But change from what to what? We
but I have always said, for as long as we have a new person in that office, that is not the President Museveni. So we are going to be having General Muhoozi Kainerugaba is a youth.
Those are the 2 scenarios of...
not a youth, those
are the scenarios I've just made open to you. But what's most likely to happen is having General Muhoozi appointed as the next vice president, which will not be shocking to any of us. Maybe you who don't believe in what and see how the country is being run. Having been appointed the vice president, then the president will raise a number of issues that will make him leave that kind of office. Yes. The next person to hold the office will be the vice president. For the next 6 months as the vice president, he will have a lot of power to change whatever he wants to change in this country and be the president of this country. That's where I'm seeing things. So it's up to you now. And secondly, there is another scenario I want you to also look into. That when General Muhoozi was removed from the office of the Commander Armed Forces, he was redundant. Just as a presidential advisor. That's when he started the MK movement, moving all over the country, doing parties and the rest. Now the PLU, and now he has been making all these rallies. Remember, as the first son, as a general, no police officer, no army man had the capacity to say no. What you're doing maybe is unlawful, maybe cannot be tolerated in this country. Nobody. Because he used to wake up through his supporters and the rest. Of course, they are self-seekers, most of them, would say that on this day we shall be there, and they would go. He said on 15th we shall be in Masaka. I remember President Museveni was heading, I think, in Ruengo. He had to postpone his day and visit in there, in Ruengo, to have MK go and do the mobilization in Masaka. So, the best way to calm that kind of confusion, because it had started to confuse so many, including the ministers, and now leaving the Muzei, NRM, and now PLU under the sun. And you had so many people talk about so many different things. I saw the speaker in Bukedia saying that they believe in the Father, but if he so wishes that the Son should come, then they have no choice but to also follow the Son, because that's what they believe in. to also calm down that kind of pressure and confusion from the NRM, because that would be a real way to also give the opposition an opportunity, maybe to bring up some tight competition.
Yes.
If the opposition also settles itself and keep focused on what they want to do. That most of the PLU supporters and lovers, some of them and the mobilizers were appointed as ministers. Talk about Baram. So that is somebody that was at the helm of all this kind of mobilization, the Lilian Abbas
Yes.
and the rest. But they are now in cabinet. Their leader, the leader of PLU, is now the CDF. As a CDF now, will he have time to go and mobilize and do all those kind of parties? And
Definitely no.
this is also another way of calming down the PLU, so that the other NRM that have been lost maybe between where to go, the father or the son, they can also now settle and be like, eh, katsigare wa the father, because the father is still here. Sani kati ebyokukola bijja mubeera bingi atasobola kukola kifuna budde bugenda kukola this kind of barazas that he has been making. That's also another way to bring down the support of the NRM, so that the son can help in making an election a smooth one, so that it's easier for the father to capture and get away.
What should the opposition parties prepare for coming to 2026 elections? Bobi etegekere ki kusinziira ng'ebintu bwe biri?
Kalulu ka 2026 kajja kuba kazibu nga bwe nkugambye. Because those who have tested the wrath of this general Muhoozi, he may not be himself as an individual, but these people that are next to him,
Those that believe in him.
those that are next to him and believe him,
Abalya
in
mu
him,
ngalo ze.
yes, they will end up doing so terrible things so that they can have the father win the next elections at whatever cost. Because if we had the army under the leadership of Mbadi kill, I don't know how many people lost their lives in 2021 elections. Now this is the son who is also looking at the father winning the next term, and then he can succeed him as the next president. Now this is their thing, they have it in their hands.
By not protecting.
At whatever cost, we shall lose lives even before the election itself. We shall have a number of abductions, a number of kidnaps, a number of tortures, as much as you can count. So many of us may end up losing lives at the risk of having the father being protected to take a win in 2026. So that's what the opposition should be prepared for. Whoever is going for the politics of the elections of 2026, we must go there prepared for the worst.
Tugendere ku worst case scenario, musajja ayinza okutta. So you go very prepared.
Kati olaba bafa 2021 ate kati 2026. Mwana ye kati entebe etandise omuwunyira agisemberedde
agiwunyiriza.
Kisege ate naye kyemanyi, that's his aim objective. The main objective is
becoming the president of Uganda.
Because he has said it on several occasions. So that's what we should expect.
Weewaawo tugenda kwanga ate tutuuse ku nkomerero ya show yaffe y'olunaku lwaleero. So my friends who are in opposition and are preparing for 2026 elections, whether at any level, LOC, LOC5, LOC3 or honorables to be, ndowooza musobola okuba nga mwetegekera bulungi nnyo ekintu kino kye tuyingiramu. We make such analysis okulaba nti ate bannange ebintu mubitegeera, tusobole okuba nga ensonga oba nga politics mumuyingiramu mukimanyi, kubanga tuyinza okutuuka mu 2026 nga abaana ba NUP be bakwata mu 2021 bakyali mu kooti masho ate bongereyo abalala. So ebintu bino tubiyingire nga tumazeewo okwetegereza bulungi nnyo. Njagala kusaba Kansosi bulaba tulabye olunaku lwaleero.
Yes, abatulabye mwebale nnyo. Zino ze ndowooza zange. Most of you may not agree with what I say, but this is what I believe in, and these are my opinions. You take what benefits you and what doesn't, you just ignore. But to say, and as I come to the conclusion of this show,
yes,
I should say that abavubuka mostly, the youth, we are being misled by the so-called politicians. You understand? At the end of it all, before you take any decision, maybe to bagamba nkuyirawo omubiri for that kind of politician, first consider what are your benefits from that kind of interaction and relationship with that kind of politician. At the end of it all, if you die, your parents will suffer. We shall come and bury. That's the best we can do.
Yeah, some of them have families.
If
They have
if
wives,
you are
they have
arrested, the
kids.
best we can do is coming to Rosira and give you a bread and sugar.
Yes.
But these politicians are just enjoying fancy lives. These politicians are the ones in parliament rooting all this money at their own expense. Even when the people that were dying for them to have those kind of positions are still rotting in Rosira. So before you can take any choice,
nga tonnayiwawo mubiri.
first calculate your next move. First see who suffers a lot, who makes a loss in whatever you do. If you get the answer, then I have no problem with you supporting any kind of person that you do. Ekirala, mu byonna bye tukola, we need to be safe. We need to be safe in whatever we do. Let's tread carefully. Let's be responsible people in whatever we do. Call it the life you live.
Yeah.
Call it the people you socialize with. Let us be responsible people. Tubeere ab'omugaso nti mu byonna by'okola, there is somebody you're impacting. There is something new that you're putting in place that somebody else is looking at and be like, yes, at least nange bwe nkola kambeere nga Farida.
Yeah.
That's done when you're living a responsible life.
Sure.
In cameras you may be different. In real life you may be different. But in whatever we do, let's make it a perfect life. Let's be responsible people and for God and my country.
Well, wow, thank you nnyo to my fellow journalist. No story is worth your life. You will want to break a story and that story might take your life. So banaye, no story is worth your life. Olabanga embeera ekyankalanye naddala mu kalulu weesegemu, no one is going to start questioning you kulwaki wadduse okutaasa obulamu bwo. Otherwise ojja kwagala okubreaking a story ate story etwale obulamu bwo. Njagala okubeebaza nnyo okubeera abalabi abalungi okuva ali we twatandikidde ku ssaawa 2 ate paka ne tuwunzikidde show yaffe ey'olunaku lwaleero. Njagala okubaagaliza olunaku olulungi, tusinkane olunaku olw'enkya. Essaawa zigenda kubeera 2 ez'okumakya. Very good morning. Have yourself a good day.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.